Today we're going to be presenting an amazing young group of individuals where we're going to be discussing really what's special in El Paso. We got a lot of talent here in this town, and one of the things that we're going to be talking about is the actual professionalism and the sciences, what actually the College of Engineering does. Dr. Natalicia, she's an amazing, dynamic principal who's left a legacy of engineering in the School of UTEP. And one of the things that we have is we have amazing desire for our youth to want to stay. Now, I've been here for 30 years, and I've been practicing for quite a bit of long time. And what I've noticed is that when I first came into El Paso in 1991, a lot of the young individuals wanted to leave. It was a very common desire that if you lived out here, you wanted to leave. You wanted to go to Washington State, Washington, Harvard, but you didn't want to come back. Today, we have a school that is recognized around the world, and the science department is one of the most amazing departments and well-respected. And it's always in the top 10 with MIT and schools that are very high in engineering value. So I've met a lot of the students out here over the years, specifically engineering students, and the amazing minds that they have and how intelligent they are doesn't stop to baffle me. It makes me very proud as an individual, as a parent, as a community individual, to present certain talents. And today we're going to be presenting a group of individuals that have begun a new process, a new endeavor in their lives, and a new beginning. This beginning is one that is full of mystery, wonder, and amazing science endeavors. So one of the things is the program that we're going to be discussing was to focus on leg length regulations, or what they call the leg length regulator. That's the idea. One Dr. Sarkodie, Dr. Thomas Sarkodie, who is their teacher, is one of the lead individuals and the one that is spearheading this program. And now I had the privilege of having these two young individuals. I have a Juan Corona and a Valeria. And tell me how you pronounce that last name.
Altamirano.
Altamirano. Okay, so she's got a real strong voice, so she will have no problem with introductory. So today I want to talk to you guys about these two individuals, and specifically about the leg length regulator. This leg length regulator is a new dynamics that is their baby. These guys are master students. That means they've gone through a long level of education, and they're in pre-PhD programs, which if they choose to, they can become the future in this new design. So I want to present you guys. I'm going to talk first with Mrs. Valeria, and she's going to go ahead and tell me a little bit about this program, as she's one of the leads, and second chair is Juan. I want to be able to go over these things and to discuss what it is that this new product that is being actually genesis or begun here in El Paso is about. So Valeria, talk to me. Hello, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing really good. Thank you for having me here.
So you guys have started a new product, and it's this leg length regulator. Tell me a little bit about what it is, because I think El Paso wants to know what we're doing in the engineering department. What is it?
So the leg length regulator is a new device that we're trying to develop, and it's to focus on patients that have leg length discrepancy. And what that is when your lower limbs are of unequal size. So a lot of people don't really know that they have this kind of illness until they notice that they have a lot of back pain. It's hard for them to stand right. It's hard for them to walk. And they just experience a lot of uneasiness when they're doing things. So for a class project, we were assigned to do research and make a device that of our choosing. And Dr. Sarkodie had mentioned if we wanted to look into leg length discrepancy. So I went ahead and looked into it, and I noticed that a lot of people are affected by it, especially children and elderly patients. So we went ahead and decided, okay, let's build something for this cause, and that's how it came to be, the leg length regulator. So what it does is we're trying to use an LVDT, which is a linear variable differential transformer, and it uses that along with a PD controller and programmed into an Arduino, and it'll help regulate the amount of pressure that's being put onto the foot to help lift it back up to where it's supposed to be so that the patient doesn't feel pain. That's the main goal here, is for that to eliminate pain, and so that children and adults can go on with their everyday lives without having this issue.
This is very much amazing. I want to ask Juan in a second here, specifically about the idea and how he's also perceived the beginning of this idea. But as a practicing physician over the last 30 years, I can assure you that leg length discrepancy is a huge problem. It totally throws and alters the body mechanics. And one of the things that I can assure you is that when I evaluate each one of my patients, I actually measure for leg length discrepancy, whether it's just a qualitative look or even a quantitative approach through x-rays or different linear methods by measuring femur, hips, knees, tibias, and all the good nuts. But we can figure these things out, and we can look at the effects. And I will tell you this, that having a altered foot mechanics really throws off the human locomotion, the ambulation of the foot. So I'd like to know a little bit about Juan. Juan, tell me, and your last name is Corona, right?
Right.
And you're a El Pasoan. Tell me a little bit about the story behind you and this project.
So I have an undergrad in mechanical engineering, so I've always been interested in the biomechanics field. I volunteered in some labs before, and I approached Dr. Sarkodie as part of for him to be my thesis advisor for my project. And as Valeria mentioned, we were in one class where we were asked to find one kind of problem and come up with some kind of a solution. In our case, it was this length regulator. Then that was the class. Then we had another class, which it was more like a workshop. It's called iCorps, and basically what they do, they tell you and they teach you how to sell your product and to see if it's actually needed for the different kind of population. So what we want to do is, as Valeria mentioned, come up with this device that regulates the different lengths in your legs, and to help people reduce their pain and their back pain, their knee pain, and all these different biomechanical issues that come with having these discrepancies.
You know, one of the things when you said biomechanical discrepancies, I have to think back to the years when smoking was real bad. It's been one of the killers of the Americas and the people and the families through the 1900s. One of the things is the Surgeon General really fought hard, and the system fought hard to put these little emblems on to the smoking packages, which was smoking is hazardous for your health, right? And everyone knew it was common sense, but they took years to produce this one sentence. Later on, they went off and they put another sentence in there that says it could be also deleterious to pregnant individuals, right? So this took a long time. It's sad to believe that it actually took to the 80s to put that statement on. Now, one of the things that I noticed is that the Surgeon General has recently, and we're talking about in the last decade, has determined that arthritis is a disorder of biomechanical imbalance. Right? So now we know that biomechanical imbalance is one of the major causes of arthritis. When the body is out of calibration, the body actually forms a level of imbalance and the body responds. It's just like when you work out. You actually, if everyone who knows who works out, who works with hands, they eventually get calluses on their hands and fingers. This is a normal process. Well, that's because the body is under stress. The tissue is under stress, the body responds. Well, guess what happens when the body's out of mechanics? Well, the bones in a process that is delineated by Wolff's Law, which is a process of which accelerated mobilization of the osteoblasts, they work together, the osteoclast and osteoblast, you ultimately form arthritis in the direction where the load is imbalancedly placed. This is the way the body protects you. So one of the things is if your body's out of whack or your foot is not put in the right position, you will actually cause early degenerative changes not only in your foot, ankle, hip, knee, and pretty much the spine in different areas, right? One of the things that people don't know is that when we have, let's say a person who's got arthritis in their back and they got a bad hip, where do you begin? Which one do you fix first? And the most smart and the most astute surgeons will realize that you got to first fix the hip first, because how can you fix a spine with the base all misaligned, right? It's almost like you're building a house on uneven floor. So you got to fix the pelvis. In this situation, we're fixing it from the ground up. Once we fix the issue from the ground up, we can actually place a situation where now the body's in the proper mechanics, and then we can deal with the back problem. It is very hard to fix a low back problem with the body that has a base that is offset. So let me ask you this: in terms of this new product, because I'm really excited about this product for you guys. As I'm a stand buyer, and this really mumbo jumbo to me engineering process and all these linears and vectors that they kind of develop and the magneto stuff that they do. I want them to tell us a little bit about what was their beginning. How did they do their research? How did you guys do your research? You guys can answer this. How did you do the research in terms of beginning the process?
In order for us to, first, Dr. Sarkodie, he mentioned about this problem, and he said that it was present in some people. So in order for us to double check that, we had to carry out some different kind of interviews with people that had, we first interviewed different clinicians and patients that have this condition in order for us to see if it was actually something that was present among the people here in El Paso. And it is, actually, it's pretty common.
Very common.
Yeah. So we started doing more research, and then we started reading some peer-reviewed articles in order to see what are the main effects. And
Juan, if I may, what kind of research did you look into? What kind of where did you go looking for the research?
We read research, articles from academia mostly.
Academia, okay.
Yeah. So from different people that had more knowledge in this topic, and we focused on trying to come up with a solution, and that was how we came up with this device.
Did you guys do any anatomical studies? Did you guys look at the anatomy of the foot? How did you guys come up with this particular design?
The main problem was the length discrepancy. Our most what we thought and what we come up was to even out the two legs. Mm-hmm. In order to reduce, as you mentioned, this is a problem that comes from down to up. And then that was our first option to fix the uneven length, so we could get rid of all the different effects that this has.
In terms of things that you found, Valeria, what kind of things did you look into in your approach? Were you also looking at academia?
Yes. So I was reading different articles that described what is leg length discrepancy and how does it affect patients and kind of the struggle that they have to go through to get it fixed. And then since we were part of the iCorps program, we had to go out and interview different patients. So what I did was I used social media to the best of its ability, and I found a group that's just strictly dedicated to patients that have leg length discrepancy.
Get out of here, really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is good stuff.
It has like 500 people in it, and everyone that's in that group has been affected either by a family member or they personally have been affected by it. And so I messaged the group admin and I said, hey, I'm doing research. Can I join your group? I don't have any relation to leg length discrepancy, but I'm trying to build a product to help patients that really need it. And she got back to me and she told me, yeah, definitely go ahead. Like I'll post it and see if people are interested. And so, yeah, I was able to get in and I got interviews, and that's kind of how I saw that a lot of patients are actually affected by it. And I didn't know to what extreme until they were telling me their stories that they have to pre-order their shoes. They have to send their shoes to a company to get them back. One little girl told me that she only has one pair of shoe because it's the only one that works. So she's sad because she can't really be that little 12-year-old girl that wants to wear every single shoe out there.
Yes. Is that true? Is that true? I have women here watching in the background. Is it true? They all say yes. It's very true. Okay.
Yes.
You know what? Let me ask you a particular, because now we're entering the humanity component of actually leg discrepancy. I don't think anyone's written a story about the humanity of it, or at least I don't see them as much, but there is a humanity, a feeling and empathy to it. What did you sense as you were hearing these stories from these individuals?
I was shocked because I didn't know how bad it was for a person to go through this, because, I mean, my legs are even. I would hope that they are. And it never occurred to me like, oh, I have to go buy a different shoe because I need a wider heel to even out my body. And some patients told me that they're active, but it's hard because when they want to work out, it causes more pain because of the back problem, and then they have to go to rehab, and then they want the hip surgery so that they can fix everything. But then it happens again, and then some patients told me that they don't have the funds to afford a hip surgery, and just to go through all that struggle of trying to find something that'll make them feel good about themselves and not stand out, but at the same time make it work. Because that was one issue that I noticed, is a lot of people do not like the extra heel insert because it's so bulky and so big and so noticeable, and people will stare and be like, why do you have a different shoe size? Like, it looks weird. So it makes them feel really uncomfortable, and they don't want to go out because of this. And so they just stick with regular shoes because they don't want to be standing out and have people pointing like, hey, you have a problem, and they rather take in the pain than fix it. So that really hurt me a lot, knowing that there's not something that can help them and improve and be able to live their life daily without having this in the back of their mind.
Lydia, one of the things that you mentioned is, and I don't know if you guys are old enough to have, well, probably not, but many people started realizing that the word why became the most important word probably about a good decade ago when you guys were in middle school. The why that you have in order to do this project. What means a lot to me is that your compassion to it. It hurts you. What else did you feel? And I'm going to ask Juan how he felt after he did his research. What did you feel when you did your research about the individuals and their plight to try to feel good? Valeria, go ahead.
Well, for me, what made me want to keep on going was asking them questions. Like, I asked them, what do you want? What is out in the market that you would buy? And they told me what it was. So with the information that they gave me, I started looking into different, like redesigning our initial design so that it can fit their criteria, so that it can help them. And I asked them questions about telemedicine, like if a component was available, would you prefer that? And would you like to reduce the amount of times you visit the doctors? And they told me yes. And they were just really, I was just basically trying to get what they wanted so I can try to figure out how to put everything that they're looking for into one design.
That's amazing. Juan, what was the why that's driving you in this project? Because you got to do, one of the things is that engineering is one thing, right?
Right.
And that's the math, that's the lines, the physics, all the cool stuff that is, the Oppenheimer stuff. For me, when we get to the humanity of it, how do you feel this project has empowered you?
Personally, I really like running. I'm a runner. I recently ran my first marathon this year, actually. And when I see,
did you win?
Well, I think actually I was in the third place of my category.
So you're good. Okay, so all right, go ahead, continue.
So I really like running, and of course I've had some knee pain or back pain, or my foot hurts sometimes after running. It depends how much you run and everything, how often. And then I think it's pretty easy for a person to not relate. For example, I think when people say that they just have their two legs with different length, you might not think how much it affects them and how much it impacts their life. And I really, like in a more personal way, like for example, someone that likes certain sport, if they walk, how much they cost in order for them to get a different a shoe that it's able to help them reduce all this pain. So I think all these personal issues, when it translates to their experience, I think that's the thing that impacted me the most, because you might not know how much this condition is actually affecting their lives until you ask them and they tell you. So many people that have this type of condition are prevented of doing some activity that they might like. In my case, that would be maybe running. And I don't know what I would do if I were not able to run, because there's a difference between not doing something because you don't want to than something not doing something because you can't.
That's a big difference. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that you get taken away that choice. I think that's something that really impacted me. So that's why we really want to keep working on this device to improve it and to make it accessible, because there are solutions right now, but they might not be as accessible and affordable for different people.
I'd like for you to know that there are millions, tens of millions. I'd even say, at least one in every. There's 5 trillion people, about 5 billion people in the world, right? And so there are at least 1 out of every 5 has an ankle foot problem. So there's billions of people out there that can be affected by shoe dynamics. If you know, if you're a long distance runner, and when you start out, your body is at a certain state. But as you run for hours and hours and hours, any sort of imbalance really creates a greater imbalance later on. Your body starts talking to you. Now, your body doesn't say, hey, knucklehead, your foot's off, but it starts feeling things, okay, like aching and swelling in the knees. You work through it because you're a champion. But wouldn't it be cool to be able to have a dynamic change or a structure that helps you out? Now, a lot of people don't just think about a foot, let's say foot insoles or foot supports. This is a very unique difference between a foot insole. Tell me a little bit about, either of you can answer this, but let me ask both of you the same question. What is the difference between this and a regular, let's say, wedge? Okay, what is the difference between this dynamic structure, this leg length regulator? It already sounds like it changes, so the word is really cool, versus a wedge. Valeria?
Well, for me, I wear wedges as heels. So,
yeah, you do, huh?
Yes, I do.
It's important, huh?
Yes, it is. I gotta get my summer game and everything. Anyway, so when I wear like my wedges, it's very rough and hard, and it's meant to keep me stable. But when I take them off, I mean, I feel the strain in my legs, and so having to wear that constantly, I wouldn't want to walk, because it's a lot. It's like you're doing a workout 24/7 if you're wearing wedges. So for patients that have to wear these kinds of shoes that have that extra insert or that extra attachment to the sole, it's a lot of work, because you have to like mentally prepare yourself. Hey, if you're gonna go do something, you gotta deal with the pain and get through it. And the difference with our design is, because we're looking at it into being an insert, it's going to be more softer, and you won't really feel it as much, and it won't be as noticeable to other people, and they won't have to question, hey, what's wrong with you? It's more of, I know what's wrong with me, I'm fixing it, and you don't have to worry about it.
Makes perfect sense. And for you, Juan, what is your side? Tell me your points.
I think that for us, for a device, what makes it different is that, as Valeria mentioned, it would be more... it could be more aesthetic pleasing for the people. One of the main concerns in kids that we got from the interview that we carried out, it was that it's pretty noticeable, and people can tell when they're wearing these modified shoes. So for us, I think it would make them feel less noticeable, and like they could have more like a normal life, you could say.
I'd say that's true, because I think when you're a little kid, you don't want to be noticeable. You don't want to stand out. And if you have, let's say, a shoe that looks kind of different, or a gait that looks different, I got to say it. Kids are, and I was one, and they're not sometimes very nice. They say things, and it hurts people's feelings. And though to them it's intransient, but there are words that can be used that hurt people, and that's at the basis of what we're doing. That's the real genesis of why we're doing this thing, not only for biomechanics, but also for a self-esteem issue. That's a big thing. So it's a big thing. Now, on the mechanical side of things, I went to school at the National University of Health Sciences, and one of the individuals that actually worked there was Dr. John Triano. Dr. John Triano made his whole life in biomechanics. I thought it was the boringest class in my life. I thought I was going to use biomechanics, and I was like, I was actually sleeping one day with my mouth open, and he just asked me a question, and luckily I popped it out. But it was about feet dynamics. Did I know that 30 years later I'll be sitting in a room with these young engineers discussing their awareness of the body dynamics? Now, one of the things is that when you're when we're talking about gait control, gait mobility, gait ambulation, It doesn't matter what age you are, but gait matters. And no matter what kind of individual, the human foot was designed to last 100 years, at least, okay? So there's nothing in our lives that lasts 100 years. Nothing. No car, no computer, no house without constant maintenance. So imagine the majesty of the foot dynamics. This thing was created for all, has a bunch of bones, all with an arc on it to translate forces. The whole thing is covered in curves so that it dissipates forces and translates energy and dissipates energy in the most amazing way. One of the things that the feet does have is that as you strike the foot, the first hip is called the heel strike. The heel strike is the moment at which your heel strikes it. At that point, the whole body has to adapt. The opposite, the contralateral, the mechanics, the muscles on the opposite side of the body engage. They know that you have struck the floor. You know this because when you ever missed the heel strike on a stairs, you look like some sort of crazed animal trying to figure out where that foot's going to land, right? Your body jumps. So from the heel strike, so as the body goes forward, then it goes to the foot, the stance phase. The stance phase is the next phase. On the final phase, which is, or the next phase, not the final phase, which is basically the toe off, or the toe land and the toe off, the first metatarsal, which is the big foot, big toe, it actually translates energy, but it was been guided by the heel strike, okay? So all this matters, okay? Now, based on how the body translates that energy and that foot, we can actually see what actually occurs to the body. Now, guess who's adjusting to this foot, heel, stance, and toe off stage? The low back is, the knees are, the cushion mechanism, the meniscus are, the mortise joint in the ankle. These things are all adapting. The beautiful thing of the tibia and the fibula are also adapting. So in this magical motion thing, yeah, you know what, sadly to say, but we get taught the story when we were young kids that the toe bone connected to the ankle bone connected to the hip bone, all the way to the neck bone, and we sing that song, but it's very true. So this design is very important to me as an individual to look forward to what it has. Now let's get into the dynamics and the science of it, okay? What did you guys do? And by the way, I can only get into it as far as they want to get into it because it's very unique and it's very still in developmental stage. What were the things that you were considering in designing the product? And this will be for, let's start with Valeria first.
Yeah, so when we were in the design process, I actually drew up some sketches and I sent them out and said, hey, does this look okay? And we all came to an agreement to do kind of like a shoe insert because we saw that the shoe insert was available and then the addition heel part of the shoe. So we all said like, okay, we want to get rid of the whole it looks weird kind of aspect. So our first initial design was focused on the shoe insert. And then we started looking into different material like for foam that'll help do the adjustment. And then I looked into different electrical components because my background is in electrical engineering. So I went ahead.
Yeah, get some. Good,
yeah.
Right. We're talking electrons here, huh? All right,
yes.
That's good. I hate that class. I didn't know anything about it, but I'm excited that you know about it.
Though. I don't get why everyone tells me it's so hard. It's not hard.
Because you got a special brain. That's why.
True.
It's unique. Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, so yeah, I looked into different electrical components that'll help us record the issue that's going on, and then with that information be able to do a feedback, and with that information help the shoe insert adjust to the information that it's being received. So that was the initial design that we're having.
Let me ask you, in terms of your it's fair enough to say that you studied the types of or energy absorbing materials, right? When you looked at that, how did you go about kind of your experience? What did you look at? Where were you looking at? Where were you going to place these materials? As much as you can talk about it, because it is, unique.
Mm-hmm. So with the materials, we did have a previous partner, but she did graduate, so we couldn't bring her further on. But she was more into the foam material, mm-hmm. and I was more into the electrical components. So I had to look, how can I get this component inside a foam to where you're not going to feel the sensors and you're not going to feel kind of like little rocks in your shoe, and where it's going to be adjusted. And how can I feed it back into what we're using and how is it going to be more of a nicer look. So I had to figure out what devices and what sensors and transducers and things like that did I want to use, so that way it's the most smallest one that can be out there, but does the bigger work job.
Juan, in terms of when you looked at the dynamics of the materials and the particular types of materials that are used, along with the other things, and maybe you added some different thought process, what kind of things were you looking into?
I think our main concern was how soft or rigid the material was going to be. We wanted it to be soft enough for it to absorb all the load that came from the foot. So we opt for a mid-rigid foam, which is it's sturdy enough to withstand all the forces that are coming from the foot strikes the floor. And that's the one that we're using for our device right now.
I'll tell you, this is exciting, and the more you tell me, the more you reveal, the more I want to understand the process. And I got to tell you, as soon as you guys get this thing ready, I just feel that the world is open to your intent, because your why is very strong. Your why, you got to figure out what the why is. And that's where it begins, and understanding the pain and the angst, and from an athletic point of view, all the way to a child point of view. Okay, now I will say this, that as we are developed, one of the very first organs that develops is our spine. As a matter of fact, when you are an embryo, or even before that, when you're a morula blastula, your body develops the spinal cord, and by the 22nd day, your spine is closed. Your actually low back is closed, and at that point, your body extremities are growing, and your body's totally connected to your spine. At the back of your brain, in a highly developed area, is your cerebellum. This part of your brain, the cerebellum, works very much in tune with the bottom of the feet. So it really, what we've learned is that the dynamics between its motion and the way the posture is, even posture gets changed. One of the craziest things is you put the right implant on, guess what happens? Your body dynamically gets in the right posture. Well, the right posture means that everything works optimally, less arthritis, less dynamics, and this propagates across all the way to the neck. So these are crazy cool, things that we look forward to having this product to do. Now, I know that you guys are in a competitive environment to present this, and before it even goes to market, tell us a little bit about this institute, or this program that you guys are in, and what you know about it, and how it's going to affect the future of this product. So, who knows a little bit more? Is it Valerie or Juan? But yeah, do you know a little bit about the institute, or you said it was a part of a program?
Yes. So I did do research on it about what the program is, and it's I-Corps. And what they do is they help engineers or anyone in the science field to build different technology that could be needed out in the world. And you present what you have to this group, and they determine if you're worthy or not to bring your idea to life. Because a lot of people, what I've learned from the regional I-Corps program was that a lot of people think that they have $1 million idea, but when they present it and they do research and they do customer discovery, they start to realize that maybe no one really needs it. They just thought it was a cool idea. Yeah. So
there's stages, and so you said there's regional, and there's what is there? There's
national.
Okay, there's regional and national. Okay, got it.
Yes. So when we went out, and at first I was like, I don't know. Like, to be honest, I told myself, I don't know if there's an actual need for this kind of thing. So it was cool having to go out and find people that have this type of issue. And I'm glad that I did, because now I know a lot of people do have this issue, and they don't realize that they have this issue till they're about mid-20s, higher 30s, and it's kind of too late for them to figure out like what to do and help adjust their posture and fix it, compared to kids who are born with it. They have to deal with all this and then go through different appointments to help fix it, and then they can qualify for surgery, which can take time. So when I saw that, I realized that what we're trying to do and what we're trying to make it has an impact and can help all these people, so they don't have to be like, okay, I have limited options. What can I do? Either hip surgery or get a shoe that's going to make me stand out. And so this device that we're trying to develop shows that it can go above and beyond and help a ton of people. And yeah.
Let me ask you this one. Obviously, this is first a great product, but then you're going to throw your baby out to competition, right? So tell me how you feel about that, and how ready are you, and what are the things are you going to be doing to get ready for this competition? Tell me a little bit about it.
Basically, as Valeria mentioned, in the iScore program, they teach us if our idea is actually, if there's actually a need for people to get it, and if people are willing to pay to pay for a device, we basically need to know if we're actually able to commercialize it. So in this competition, we have different, of course, people, and people have the different device, and we all think that our device is the most needed one, but we actually have to prove that people need it, and that it's actually going to help their lives. So I think in the regional part, we're already, that part is already finished, but we're looking to go for the nationals. I'm pretty sure it's going to be tough. I mean, I'm pretty sure that like not everyone gets there, but we are very confident in how much is the device needed and how much these people would get their life improved if they actually get access to it.
I think we have in our thoughts, and as you guys develop this, you guys are thinking of like who's your avatar, who's really wants the product. I would assure you this, that as a parent, if I see my son having an issue, I'm the avatar. I'm the dad, because you're selling the product to me, because I'm the one that's going to identify my little boy, my little girl has an issue, right? So I got to tell you, the way you package this stuff and the way you're explaining it to me excites me to be able to help my son, my daughter, in whatever situation is. So that's very exciting to see. Now, in terms of getting it on with the competition, let's talk about getting it on with the competition, because we're going to get it on, right? So as we do the process, have you guys thought that process out in how we're going to present that at the regional? I think first it has to go to regional, correct? Or has it been not? We're not past regionals, or we are past regionals?
Yeah, no, regionals, we're past regionals.
All right, we're gonna go to the next. We got a winner here. Okay, so we got a winner. So have you guys done some research in terms of at the next stage, which is the national, like what it is and how it's gonna be? Have you kind of like done some kind of scouting, I guess?
I have. I saw that it was a 7-week program, and they told us that the first 4 days are heavy because you have to go to seminars, and it can be from 8 in the morning all the way to 6 in the afternoon. So you need a lot of time. And then another thing that they told me was, if we do want to do this for the regional, we had to conduct 25 interviews. And at the national level, you have to do 100 interviews. So it's 4 times greater than what it is at regionals. So
do they give you the people to interview, or you have to get people to interview?
No, you have to get people. That's why I figured out social media is the best place to go, and I just searched leg length discrepancy, and I found
smart.
it. So I found my way in. And then, of course, we can also use LinkedIn to go for more of the doctors and people that actually focus and specialize in like leg length discrepancy. But it's good to know for the customer segment of who's actually going to be purchasing this, because that's where our money is going to be coming from.
Yes.
So it's going to be a lot of work, but we're committed, and I've already looked at my schedule, and I'm like, okay, this day is going to be dedicated just to do this and things like that. And I've been pushing things around so that way I have the time to do what is needed and to get it done efficiently and successfully.
You know, full disclosure, I've been invited to be part of the mentor program along with Dr. Sarkodie in different responsibilities. I look forward to working with these individuals and the entire team to be able to bring the product to whatever it is that it's supposed to be. It's already written, but we got to make it happen, right? So we gotta propel this product. So I was brought on by Juan. Juan found me out. He I was bouncing around, and I think and Kenna Levon also bumped in, and we kind of crisscrossed, and we got emails, and they told me about this product. I thought it was an awesome idea because I have seen the effects. I can tell you that if I had an option like this, it would be an unbelievable, a great choice for individuals that have from scoliosis to back problems to hip problems, because we live in a world where when I started practicing, there was no such thing as internet. Now, as Valeria did indicate, it's a fast thing. My daughter, she was able to do things, do a whole project by just getting on social media and doing things in minutes that took me years to do. The people out there are highly educated, and now with the internet and the resources that they're out there, this is going to be a big thing. I do believe. I believe in their vision. I believe in their why. And more importantly, it feeds and it does give a place called faith and hope to people who don't sometimes have hope. So you're given hope and an idea where people, I know. And I got to tell you, I see people with scoliosis, and sometimes it's a severe scoliosis. And I got to tell you, I look at the spine, and I touch spines all day long. And I got to tell you, it doesn't look that bad. It doesn't look like there's an issue. When I look deep inside, it's amazing what the body has to gyrate and torsion that is occurring inside of the human structure. But then you get amazed, and it just doesn't look like this individual's going through a lot. However, that same individual knows that their spine has issues, because by the time that they present to me, someone has told them. In that situation, you know what? Do you think they do research? Do they look at things? Do they find the best product? They're going to be knocking on the door of this particular design and saying, how can this affect my life? How can it make me a better person? How can it make me become a pilot or enjoy my profession? Let's assume that let's see practical. If you want to be a surgeon, what are you going to be doing all day, right? Well, you're not going to be sitting down. You're going to be standing up. And if you can't stand up in the right position, well, then you can't perform your process, right? So ambulation is incredibly important to the human state. I've always said mobility is one of the most important things, and anything that helps you with mobility is optimal. So I know that this is a product that's going to make a big difference. And now let me ask you the big picture here. What do you envision this product doing, and what is your dream as you can see your baby kind of starting to take genesis and fly? Let's start with Valeria. Actually, Juan first. Tell me what you see this product doing one day.
I think my main focus is for them to not be restrained of doing any activity they want. As I mentioned before. This is more like physical activity and that kind of stuff, and for them to be able to develop all the different running, playing tennis, basketball, football, like walking, getting rid of that pain and that inconveniences that the different leg may cause.
I saw a movie a long time ago. It's called Braveheart. It ended up with the word freedom. Freedom. That sounds like what you're talking about. Freedom to do the things that they want to. Freedom. Valeria, what is it you see your baby doing in the future, your guy's baby in this process?
Well, my thing is to basically go out and help the people that really need it, and then to just bring a cause, because when people don't know what's going on, they look the other way. But when they realize what's out there and how it's affecting people, and then they might not even know that it's affecting them. And then they might try this and say, hey, I realized I had this problem. So for them to be able to kind of know about the issue and then fix it, and then help, especially the children, to just live their normal life of being able to play, run around, do the things that kids love to do, and not have to question, like, what's wrong with me, because nothing's wrong with anybody, because everyone's unique in their own special way. And I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, something's wrong with me, I'm the problem, when every problem could be fixed.
Let me just go back into, because that's a real great reason. And I love that reason, because that's the purpose. Now, the process is, or the product or the design is called the Leg Length Regulator. How did you guys come up with that name? Valeria, or let's...
I'm trying to think how.
You just kind of thought it out, or is it just kind of like it just fell in?
Yeah, because we needed a name for the iCorp's regional program, and so we started throwing out names. And since it does regulate, I threw out the name like, "What about leg length regulator?" And everyone was like, "Yeah, that sounds cool." So we went with it.
You know what? It sounds good. I was watching a thing on Sylvester Stallone the other day. And what he was talking about is that, when you got an idea, you got to work it, right? And don't expect to get the first shot right. As a matter of fact, when he talks about Picasso, he didn't make the Mona Lisa on the first shot, right? After about the 5th or 10th shot, you start doing something good. So this is the first rendition, or I'm not too sure how many renditions you've had or versions of this thing. But as soon as that thing takes flight, boy, it's going to be a whole unique look to the design you had right now. So I look forward to seeing you guys continue to adapt the changes, because it sounds like this particular product has the ability to adapt its regulator, so it regulates and it changes based on the need, and it basically does exactly what the body does. The body says, "What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do?" And the body adapts. If this is also doing that, it's going to be an amazing hit. So I look forward to seeing you guys do this. Any other parting ideas or concepts or anything you guys want to shout out before we end this amazing podcast?
I got nothing.
All right, I got none. Well, I can see you're holding your cards to your vest there. Well, I got to tell you, I'm very impressed with you guys. I'm fans of you guys, and I look forward to having you guys back into doing the podcast and discussing different avenues. Now, each one of these, we did a lot of general talk, and we didn't get too deep into the subject matter and that is by design, by the way. Until we are able to really present this product, we won't want to give the competition any of the ideas, right? Because then you guys see the leg length regulator 2 or version 2.0 next to you, and you'd be really upset, right? So as we do these kind of ideas today, we're going to be filling in some of the video in the background. That's going to be just basic and generic, but I look forward to assisting you guys in the ability to push you guys out there and make it happen, because we're going to get it on, right, guys? We're going to get it on. We're going to get it on. We're going to take on these IT technical individuals, and we're going to bring it home, because we have a stronger why, right? And that's what I want to make sure that as we encompass this new dynamics, I look forward to seeing my cohort, Dr. Sarkodie, in this process. And we're going to be bringing him into the next podcast and discussing, the insights, the genesis, and the reasons why the developmental process, and from his point of view, what he sees into his design, along with his personal experiences in moving biomechanical dynamic apparatuses that he has had. Because as I understand, Dr. Sarkodie has had a vast amount of experience in in mechanical dynamics, specifically when we're dealing with gait dynamics. So UTEP, has brought in a lot of great order around the world and is attracting great scientists from around the world. And what we need to do is we need to support our teams and our individuals. So enough said, and we look forward to seeing you guys into the future. So God bless. And again, we had Juan Corona and Valeria. Go ahead and say a name.
Altamirano.
It's like, Jan, can't leave on. All right. Sounds good. All right. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.